Hello everyone and welcome back to another math video. Today we're going to be looking at different word problems and graphs, and we have to talk about what does the y-intercept tell you, what does the slope tell you. Just a reminder, this is the short version of the video, so we're going to go pretty quickly just through the main ideas. If you like the full length lesson where we go step by step with a bunch of examples, I will link that in the description below. Before attempting this lesson, you should already know how to graph, how to do rise over run, and how to evaluate functions. If you want refreshers on any of those topics, I will link that in the description below. So we have a story here. I'll give you, if you want to pause the video and read this, look at the graph, and then we'll talk about it in just a second. All right, so now that you've had time to read this, it says, what does the y-intercept, what does the y-intercept of the line tell you about the situation? So the y-intercept is here, all right, and it's at the point 0, 15. And now it's really important, remember x and then y, it's really important that we label these. So the x represents the number of movies, all right? So 0 movies, and 15, right, that's the y, is the total spent. So we're going to put the cost. So this is saying, if we were to put this in the words, right, after 0 movies have been rented, the cost is $15. And that doesn't make a lot of sense, except for the fact that they told you there is a one-time cost for the membership, right? So before you can start renting movies, you pay the membership cost, and then you can start renting movies for a reduced rate. And so the membership is $15. For this problem, if you want to pause the video and go ahead and take a look. All right, and now that you've read the problem, it says, what does the slope of the line tell you about this situation? So you can pick any 2 points, right, where the green line and the grid hits right on the corners. Any of these 4 points is fine. I'll just do the first 2 points. We're going to use rise over run. Okay, we should already be familiar with that. And so we rise 100. Pay attention to the scale, right? It goes up by 50s. So we rise 100, and we go to the right 3. Okay. And again, we're going to put words with each of these. So the 100 represents subscribers, so I'm going to put subs for short. The 3 represents months, since he upgraded the app. And we're going to think of this division line as the word per. All right, and now let's put this together in a sentence. Now it says 100 subs per 3 months, right? So the slope is telling him how many subs he's gaining per month, or per 3 months. And so that's right here, 100 subscribers for every 3 months. For this last type of problem, if you want to pause the video, I'll give you a second to read. All right, now that we've read the problem, we need to, it says, we need to select the right answer. So let's start with looking at the y-intercept. The y-intercept is 0, 3600. We need words here. So the 3600 is her height, the elevation. The 0 is the time on the lift. And so this is saying after 0 minutes on the lift, she's at a height of 3600. And so remember, in the story, she hiked up the top of this mountain. She goes to the top, and now she's riding the lift back down, okay? And so the question says, Wendy got on the gondola lift at an elevation of 3600, right? That's the top of the mountain. At the top of the mountain, she gets on, and then she's moving down. And then it says her elevation decreased by, and so we need to look at the slope here. So find 2 good points. Either any of these 3 will work. Pay attention to the scale. So 400, 800, 1200, 1600 down. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These go up by 5s. So this is 1600 or 25. And remember, it's negative, right? Remember, when you go down, it's negative. And now this can be reduced. If you type that into a calculator, you will get 64 even, so it's negative 64 over 1. Let me put this over here where I have a little bit more room. Negative 64. Now let's attach words. So negative means decrease, right? So she's decreasing by 64, and this is feet. This means per, and the 1 is minutes on the lift, right? So our answer is she decreased by 64 feet every minute on the ride, or on the lift. All right, here's our cool clock for today, which means that it's time for you to practice what you just learned. Go ahead and pause the video and try these 2 problems on your own. And when you're ready, you can unpause the video and we'll check your answers. Okay, now that you've had time to work these problems, let's check your solutions. Okay, for the first problem, you should have said that the answer was Craig's mom had decorated 40 cookies, because at 0 hours of Craig decorating, there were already 40 cookies decorated, and that's because it told you in the problem his mom already decorated some cookies while Craig was in school. And for the second problem, you should have said the drone's battery will last 16 minutes if no additional weight is added. That's the y-intercept. The battery life will decrease by 1 minute per 30 grams of weight added. So you should have gotten, negative 2/60 for the rise over run, and then you reduce and add the words. All right, that is it for today. I hope you all have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.